Hey, it's Scotty B. This is Fins and Things. So this video gets started right off the bat. We are leaving Moab. Right outside Moab is a sand flats rec area. It's not far. You have to buy a permit online. I think it's $7 maybe for the week or $10 for the week, something like that. Off to the left-hand side was Hell's Revenge. We'll come back to that. Vincent Things is a counterclockwise loop. We started on the south loop, so it was just up the road a bit. Take off, nice easy trail to start our day. We'll do Fins and Things, and then later that afternoon we come back to Hell's Revenge. My dad and I had come into Moab the day before. We did the Bronco Off Rodeo on Friday, and then the next day here on Saturday, we're doing Fins and Things. To start, we are in a Bronco Black Diamond, 35 inches Sasquatch package. It had no problem, especially with this trail, and handled Hell's Revenge that afternoon just fine. This was our first time in Moab and enjoying the day after doing our off rodeo. The South Loop here is a good little trail to get started. Since we hadn't been here before, we felt like we just wanted to go out, have fun. South Loop really provided that. Got us comfortable going up and over these fins, over the slick rock. And then later on through the video, we'll see there's a few obstacles, nothing major, but enough just to test us a little bit and get us ready for the rest of the day. This here's our first bigger obstacle. It's a pretty good little departure down upwards of the high 20s. I think we're around 27, 28 degrees coming down here. And then obviously there's other obstacles that'll come up where you're going up high 20s, upwards of 30 degrees. So these are good tests for us, especially before we get into Hell's Revenge later in the afternoon.
You ready?
Yep.
We're at 26, 27.
It feels, if, you know, now that I'm looking at it,
Put
and
some
then,
weight on your floorboard, you know?
yeah, I'm like, where's that
Easy.
red Jeep?
Like I said, no major issue. We'll get used to those more and more throughout the day. Periodically throughout the trail, there's areas where you'll see the sand or banks going up and down the sides. Those are razors going through the trail. We try to be more better stewards of the trail and go straight through, try not to widen out that trail. As you can imagine, the more and more people that go out wide left, wide right, that widens out the trail. So we try and stick to the middle a little bit more as we can. There's really nothing too technical on this part of the trail. I think anything with 33-inch tires or lower clearance doesn't have really any issues with the south loop here. This here's another good fun obstacle. It's just a bit of a wall in front of you and you climb up that. I think upwards of, again, high 20s. So fun little climb here.
28. Oh, no,
Yep,
what's
looking
up?
good still.
Okay.
Ledge, right, yeah.
28 up. What's crazy is like we were 27 down. That felt like a lot. And that was 28
We
up.
were like,
That thing was.
you know what?
That was a fun one.
There are some rocky areas on this trail. I think we had to be careful just to make sure there wasn't anything poking out or that would get us just in case. But for the most part, no major issues. Again, this is our first time on this trail, so we'll get out periodically just to make sure if we can't see exactly where we're going, or just to check our line and see where we want our tire placement coming down. So just taking it slow, nice and easy. This was my daily driver. Plus, we had to drive 2 days back to Oregon when we were done playing in Moab. So just making sure we took it a little bit slower and made sure we were approaching things correctly. Almost done with the southern loop and a good little area to take a potty break. After a nice little break there, we are almost done with the southern loop. After completing the south loop, you jump on one of the more main roads here in the Flats Rec area, and up on the left is the start of the north loop. Start of the north loop is a lot of more rocky and sandy terrain. Once we get towards the end of the north loop, we get back into the fins, a little bit more of a fun area. Tend to see more razors and vehicles on that portion. The first part of this section here of the north loop, like I said, is a decent amount of rocky terrain and takes a little bit of time to get through. Not the most fun section, but still had a good time going through it.
Well, well, well. What do we got here?
Here is another fun obstacle on this part of the trail. This one is pretty far down and some shelves. You got to work your way down, scrape towards the top. Not where I thought, down towards the bottom, but still no issues with clearance, and this was a fun one.
I think this is the worst downhill we've had.
Some screen action here and commentary from my dad, and he almost fell, so reminder, watch where you're walking.
All right,
Good.
Just a little scrape here.
Here's the worst of it right here. Dropping. Oh, good clearance. 3-4 inches of clearance on your.
Yeah, so fun obstacle. We'll continue down the trail, some more rocky terrain. Not to the fun part yet. Like I said, towards the end of the trail, we started getting into fins. One more big obstacle before we get to those, and we continue navigating the rocky terrain here for a bit. These slick rocks were a lot of fun. We'll get out, double check, because obviously you can't see up and over a lot of them. I have a front camera installed on my Bronco. Obviously, can't see up and over that bumper, especially going up and over a lot of these obstacles. So I was looking at that camera quite often and it came in handy. There's obviously easier sections of the trail. Everything is not completely technical or obstacles the entire way. So we'll just keep making our way up through the trail, through these sections, up until the next major obstacle. This trail is a good confidence booster. Really learn how much your vehicle grips on those slick rocks, gets up and over obstacles, and builds your confidence before, especially hitting something like Hell's Revenge. This was the biggest obstacle for us on the north loop. There are three different ways down. The hardest way down is down the middle. It didn't look that difficult, but as you come off of it, it's a pretty steep grade as you drop off.
I'm sure that this was the line that was on it.
Yeah, you were on the line. Yeah, you can see the arrow right there. In your back.
We knew that there was three different options. We knew there was the most difficult option, and we even talked about it. Why we didn't pause, get out, look, I don't know. We talked about it, but just kept going.
Wait, what?
People are hitting coming off the back end. Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Ah! Ah!
That was 29
Whoops. Hit your winch that time.
Holy fuck, maybe we should have filmed that one.
No shit.
Maybe we shouldn't have filmed that one.
No.
Well, we did have it on film, and it felt and sounded worse than it was. We got some dirt on the bumper, but no damage to the vehicle. It just, as you came down, there was a really steep drop off, and you come down, and your vehicle's got to rest on something at the bottom. Here we head into the most fun part of Fins and Things towards the very end of the northern loop, going up and over slick rocks. You can see there's a lot of other vehicles out here in this portion. Understandably so. This was fun and confidence building before we head into Hell's Revenge right after this. There was some portions of this trail you got to get out and look if you haven't done it before. There's some steep inclines, some steep declines, but for the most part, all very doable. This was our first time on it, so again, we were just double checking, getting out, checking our lines, but nothing the Bronco didn't have any issue whatsoever handling.
Oh. Okay.
To engage locking differential release accelerator.
Good little incline here, 29 degrees up and over. This is where the front camera and at least rear lockers come in handy. Just climb right up and over.
29 degrees.
29 degrees up. Holy cow. No wonder we're seeing this.
Periodically, there's good views of the rocks, around Moab as you're going through the trail, but specifically in this area, real cool view as you're going up and over these. This last section here was a lot of fun. Fins and Things, as you finish out the trail, really ends on a high note. This was a lot of fun, and we were ready to take on Hell's Revenge right after this.
That's great.